Hey everybody. First off, Levima peeps, thank you so much for having us. Apologize for any technical difficulties, as this is my first ever doing one of these via webinar, so kind of fun. Thank you guys so much, Brandy and team. You guys, we couldn't do this without you. Most of you know me, but if not, I'm Brett Peterson. I'm the Senior Sales Director here at Causal IQ. And joining me today is my good friend and special guest, Shayna Atwood. She helps run our strategic planning division here at Causal IQ. And a quick little summary on us: we are a programmatic digital media solution, and we know that every conversion happens for a reason. If true incrementality and net new consumers are of interest to you or your brand partners, we should definitely talk. So, Shayna, what do you want to dive into today? Why are we here?
Why are we here? Well, as the presentation name would suggest, we are going to be talking about the crumbling cookie. Can anyone predict what the future holds? Probably not. Is it our business to make informed predictions for our clients about what the world might look like post-cookie? Absolutely. And part of our job is to help brands and advertisers understand that, at least for right now, there isn't an answer yet, or at least not a very clear one. We still have a lot of work to do. Following the IAB's direction, we, like many programmatic technology partners, are currently working with the leading companies in the programmatic industry to develop new standards for identification to replace third-party cookies. Project Rearc aims to do just this: develop new standards, support core use cases while balancing privacy and personalization.
So if you just saw the poll come up, can we throw that poll up one more time if possible? We want to kind of get a feel for who's heard of Project Rearc out in the space. A few months ago, our team joined the IAB Tech Labs meeting, in which the task force introduced Project Rearc. It's technically the re-architecting of the internet after the death of the cookie. So over the past few months, we've been working to fully understand the IAB's key focuses within Project Rearc, or in essence, how the digital ad ecosystem will change once cookies are gone for good. Because we want to better define the quid pro quo of the internet for the consumer with predictable privacy controls that are really making sure that consumers know that they can trust what's happening. Sorry, this poll keeps blocking me. That 87%. Wow, 87% of people have not heard of it. So this is great. It's great to know. So like I said, our goal is to better define the quid pro quo of the internet for consumers. We want to make sure that they trust and know that they're being protected online, which is kind of how all this was kicked off. The key really is to focus more towards the consumer consent and the consumer experience. So now that we've kind of introduced what Project Rearc is, we're going to dive a little bit deeper. And our goal today is really to walk you through these 5 things. Number 1, we want to make sure that we update you and inform you on the recent tracking and browser changes that have been happening in our industry. Number 2, we're going to dive into the 3 main tenets of our business and discuss why we need a unified approach moving forward and what 2 of those potential options may be. Finally, we'll close it out with some of our POVs and takeaways and what we recommend our partners do. So again, jumping right into this, back in June of 2017, and accelerating more rapidly since, browsers have been adding restrictions and cross-site tracking and third-party cookies. We ran an internal analysis of one of our enterprise advertising partners who was very interested in understanding their data and the impact of ITP introductions across their campaigns. What we found is that the largest impact was actually in Q1 of 2018, and the trend line is pretty much flattened out since. But this is likely to change once Chrome cooks cookies. Thankfully, Google and Chrome gave us 2 years to prepare. It will affect how we run our businesses moving forward. In fact, you may have just seen the news today about the Trade Desk's Unified ID 2.0 as an open source option. That's what this is about. So Shayna, let's dive into some of these principles.
All right, let's break this down. The Chrome and Apple announcements mean that the third-party cookie will essentially disappear in the next 2 years. There will be an extreme reduction in fingerprinting and probabilistic IDs, and we'll see the loss of mobile IDs via the IDFA and Google's AAID. How we target, measure, and execute media in the new world is going to look a lot different. We're going to need to reset expectations of what we'll be able to do. We need similar solutions to the third-party cookie, but it's going to require some deep cooperation and a lot of collaboration. Programmatic advertising offers a wide range of benefits for advertisers, but within these, there are really three main tenets to our business. The first is addressability. An addressable platform is really any online platform that can gather personal information from users, allowing for more precise targeting. This is the quid pro quo of the internet, sharing data in exchange for content. But let me give you an example. A travel advertiser may define its target audience as affluent travel intenders with Las Vegas intent, a minimum income of 100K, and maybe a child in the home. Previously, the advertiser may have used a age and gender proxy of men 25 plus to reach that audience, and then settled for a fairly low on-target percentage. One of the main benefits to programmatic advertising is that it offers a holistic approach to data management. When we talk about challenges, this is what we're referring to. Making media addressable within the new world will certainly be challenged. Our bidding models and algorithms will be similar, but the inputs could vary vastly. For measurement and attribution, the ability to link media events to outcomes is one of the reasons why digital is so great. One of the most exciting aspects is the ability to prove that it worked. Then we can show them our performance and ask for more money. And we also want to be able to prove that it worked from an unbiased third party. At Causal IQ, we firmly believe that no media partner should be in charge of measuring themselves. Facebook. Once the media event is disconnected from the performance event, it does become harder for the marketer to assign value. As a marketer tasked with driving performance and outcomes, this is a little concerning. And then lastly, frequency management. Who here hates seeing the same ad over and over and over again? I think all of us here. This doesn't mean that it can't be done without third-party cookies, but let's be honest, outside of a browser or an open web solution, this user experience could leave a lot to be desired. Frequency capping might work on sites, but it might not work across sites or across apps. With regards to frequency, some of the solutions we've heard proposed are modeled approaches, cohort-based analysis, or even deterministic IDs being stitched into the bid request. So that would look something like passing a hashed email address, which would require a first-party data asset. So whether it's from a brand or a publisher, in order to stitch that together. And that in itself is going to cause scalability issues, especially for publishers that don't really have robust data or haven't really focused on authenticating their traffic yet, or collecting emails or putting up a paywall. And I think we all don't want to see a ton of paywalls.
Dude, I can 100% vouch for that for sure. So really thinking about this, some of the big concerns that we have, and you're going to hear us talk about a unified standard quite a bit, but really that is the biggest thing that we feel is needed. It's a true unified standard. I mean, think about it. Too many choices and options are going to lead to stressed out consumers and poor experiences across the web, as well as horrible ad experiences. One unified approach, and it should be able to help connect everything together.
The second thing is not having a unified standard could mean that marketers are going to be more reliant on walled gardens like Facebook, Google, Amazon. On the advertiser side, if no good solution is developed, smaller mom and pop shops might not be able to compete to win bids on a home page against the larger conglomerates. Consolidation of spend, which over monetizes the walled gardens, just erodes value for everybody else. The internet exists for the good of all. Addressability should be available to everybody in the marketing system.
And with the loss of sophisticated targeting and fraud prevention, a lot of what marketers demand and expect deteriorates, along with the advertiser's confidence. Money could flow back to direct buys, resulting in less targeting and more bots, and really affecting ad quality. In fact, take a look at this quick study right here. This is a quote from Harvard professor John Dayton, and he said, if tracking were to end absent a mitigated solution, between $32 and $39 billion with a B a year could move away from the open web, and that's a lot.
And then lastly, we're here in Las Vegas, where return on ad spend and ROI have always been key performance indicators, especially for hotels, casinos, and even retailers like Zappos. The ability to measure ROI and consumer behavior will fundamentally be challenged.
Which brings us to a couple of the options for potentially viable solutions that are in the works right now. How do we ensure that core use cases of digital are supported? A quick look at this chart, and you can see some of the areas that will be highly impacted. So Shane, you want to dive into what these two options are?
Yes. All right. So sorry, lost my place for a second there. To engage people-based audiences on the open internet without the use of cookies, the industry needs to adopt, like we said, a collaborative approach to invest in standards, which was the impetus to IAB's Project Rearc. Right now, we are just speculating, but it is our job to speculate so that our advertisers and clients can focus on their business. The solutions within the first path proposed by the IAB and Project Rearc are private by design. Within these, you are going to see browser solutions, contextual solutions, and first-party behavioral solutions. We hope the browsers will develop easy plug-and-play standards for our community to take advantage of. But the key here is that we don't want a fragmented approach. We want one solution as opposed to 15. This is why we're being proactive by following Project Rearc as well as working closely with Google to determine what tracking is going to look like in the new world. And then from there, we will all need to update our systems to be consistent with this new standard. The second solution within the anonymous framework involves contextual approaches with scale and accountability reliant on utilizing a single taxonomy. Bad data in means bad data out, as the saying goes. We expect a lot of interesting solutions to develop within the space. Our own privacy shield is one of them. We apply the same industry-leading predictive analytics that we use with our audience-based approach and then apply them to privacy-focused variables instead. So codifying attributes like URL, ad position, type, size, as well as coded branded characteristics and temporal cues. Within first-party behavioral, these are all opportunities that don't require an identifier to be in the third-party space to be usable. Over the last year, the New York Times has built 45 new proprietary first-party audience segments for clients to target ads. By the end of the year, they're going to introduce 30 more. These are segments that buyers can activate alongside their contextual inventory. But in order to be usable and scalable across the internet, we're going to need to ensure that we work to establish and improve upon the current audience taxonomies, so we can scale these solutions across all websites and not just within the New York Times. Above all, we really want to encourage cross-platform interoperability and standards. So the second path.
One unified approach. We're going to keep nailing on it.
Yeah. The second approach, as opposed to a universal and an anonymous identifier solution, the second one is going to be consumer provided. We already provide our first-party data willingly to the companies that we trust, although I do say trust loosely. I don't know if we trust them or we just have to use them, like using Facebook to log into other websites or platforms. Maybe it's just that we just don't have another choice. But regardless of how we log in or how we get there, the IAB does want to ensure that we all build standards that enable consumer-provided identifiers to be able to utilize in order to execute on behalf of trusted first parties, without all the creepy stuff that we're trying to get away from. I'm all for it, but please, please, let's not end up with a solution where every website is a paywall.
So that was a lot, but I'm going to kind of drop in real quick and try and go through our takeaways here in the next minute and a half. Really, the goal behind planning to deprecate the use of the cookie is to upgrade the way that we protect users' privacy and transact with data. I mean, in reality, think about it. Cookies are 20 to 30 years old. It's an old, archaic technology, and it's ready for improvement. And the industry has to work together to ensure that greater controls on user privacy and to ensure that content providers can continue to monetize their sites by showing targeted ads. I'm going to say it again. The industry is going to work together to ensure that content providers can still monetize their sites. The quid pro quo of the internet is not going away. I mean, Google's in the ad game to make money, right? So final thoughts. And again, we know that was a lot. That was an hour presentation put together in 15 minutes. As Chrome goes down this cookieless path, they have explicitly stated that they are building an API to facilitate targeting and measurement in the same vein, albeit not exactly the same, that programmatic has worked all along. The winners are going to be those that work with leading companies in the programmatic space, like maybe us, to develop a new standard for identification, replacing the third-party cookie. In order to engage people-based audiences on the open internet without the use of the cookie, we must adopt a collaborative approach and begin investing in new standards. We are here to help guide our partners through these industry changes, and we're sticking close to the IAB, following their lead, and encouraging our clients to have solutions like Privacy Shield ready sooner rather than later. Prepare for the possibility that it goes away.